Hey guys, welcome back. So today we'll be going over equivalent decimals. So when it comes to looking to see if a number is equivalent or not, all you're doing is just looking at different ways or different names for the same number. So for an example, let's look at the number 1.8. I can write 1.8 different ways. One of the ways I can write it is 1.800. I can write it like this with two zeros at the end here because we have imaginary zeros here that go on and on and on. Another way that I can write it as 1.80 with just one zero at the end. Another way I can write it is if I do 1 plus 0.8, I can also write it like this because 1 plus 0.8, this is going to equal 1.8. And remember, when you are looking at your decimals, this one here is treated as if it's a whole number. So this is my whole number here, and then 0.8 here is going to be your decimal here. And another way to write 1.8 is writing it as 1 and 8/10. And if you write it out as a fraction, this is going to be 1 and 8/10 written just like this. And remember, how do I write 1.8 as a fraction? Well, remember this one here is going to be your whole number. And then you look at the place value here for the 8, and that's the 10th place. So I'm going to do 8/10. So this is how you would write it as a fraction. So all of these are equivalent to 1.8. So let's say we had 0.5 and 0.05. Are these equivalent decimals? Yes or no? These are not equivalent decimals. So this is going to be a no. And notice here, you have your 5 here and you have a 0 here. So no, these are not equivalent. So what if you have 0.4 and then 0.40? Are these equivalent? Yes, these are equivalent decimals. So yes, this is definitely good to go. So let's look at this example here. Are these two decimals the same? Are these two decimals equivalent? And the answer for this is no. These two decimals are not the same because notice here we have 0.09 and here we have 0.009. So these two are not the same. And if I had to turn these into a fraction, remember you take the last digit of your number and you turn it into a fraction. So this is my tens place. This is my hundredths place. So this is going to be 9/100. And then here, this is my tenths place, my hundredths place, and then my thousandths place. So this is going to be 9/1000. And notice here that these two are not the same. So let's look at this decimal here, 3.8 and 3.80. Are these two decimals the same? Are these two decimals equivalent? Yes or no? Yes, these two decimals are equivalent. Remember here you have your imaginary 0 here right after this 8, which is the same as what you would get here. So let's look at this example, 0.60 and 0.600. Are these two the same decimals? Yes, these two are. 7.2 and 7.02. Are these two decimals the same? No, these two decimals are not the same, so this is no. They are not equivalent. You have 2 here and you have 0 here, and then you have your imaginary 0 here, and then you have a 2 here, so these decimals are not the same. Are these two decimals the same? 1.02 and 1.20. Are these two decimals equivalent? Nope, these two decimals are not equivalent. 1.28 and 1.280. Are these two decimals equivalent? Yes, these two decimals are equivalent, so this is yes. We have our 2 here, we have our 2, we have 8, and we have 0 here. And we also have our imaginary 0 here as well. Let's look at this example, 3.007 and 3.07. Are these two decimals equivalent? Nope, they are not equivalent. So this is no. So this is no here. They're not. We have 0, 0, 7, and we have 0, 7. Let's look at this example, 7.02 and 7.020. Are these two decimals the same? Are these two decimals equivalent? And yes, they are. So we have our 0, our 0, 2, 2, 0 here. And you also have your imaginary 0 here as well. So these two decimals are equivalent. Let's look at this example, 4.09 and 4.099. Are these two decimals the same? Nope. This is a no. 0.9 here, and here we have 0.99. Here we have our imaginary 0 here, and then my last digit here is a 9. So these two decimals are not the same. So what about this example here? Are these two decimals the same? Nope, these decimals are not the same. These decimals are not equivalent. We have 0, 0, 8, and then we have 0, 8. So no, these decimals are not equivalent. So let's look at this example here. Which two of these decimal numbers are equivalent? We have three choices. So we have this choice here, we have this choice, and we have this choice. So which two of these are the same? And the two decimal numbers that are matches is we have this number here, 0.0502 and 0.05020. This number here in the middle is not equivalent. So let's look at this example. Which two decimal numbers are equivalent? That's going to be the first one here, 0.017. And that's going to also be the second one, 0.01700. This last decimal number here is not the same as the first two. And notice here we have 0, 0. We have our 1. We have a 1 here. We have a 7 here, 7 here. So this last decimal here is not a match with the first two numbers. So let's look at this example. Which two numbers are equivalent? So the numbers that are the same is going to be my second number here, 1.0050, and then my last number, which is 1.005. This number on top is not a match for the two that we have here. Let's look at one more example. So which two numbers here in this example are equivalent? So the numbers that are the same is going to be 8.01. This is the same as 8.01000. This number here in the middle is not the same. All right, so that is all for today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.